Same thing to the other side. Okay, there, and the most important thing about the square that you want to pay attention to is that corner point of the square. That's going to be the main focus, or the main thing that you want to pay attention to. Okay. And so to make the curve of the upper inside eye socket, what you want to do is draw a line down just below the apex of that nasal bone, and that's going to represent the inside upper curve of your eye socket. And like I said, when you start really mastering these formulas, you won't have to actually draw these out. They're just sort of more of an intuitive kind of, you know, system that you adopt after you do it enough. You don't even have to draw these lines. You just sort of know in your mind where everything is going to fall. Okay, and what I'm doing now is I'm just simply drawing the upper outside of the eye socket, and that goes down from the top of the brow line down to the halfway point of the vertical division you made. Okay, that's all it is. Let me clean this up. Alright, I'm now making another division here at the top of the skull. This is about a quarter, the inside quarter of the skull. And then down on the bottom I'm dividing down. Okay, and then I'm dividing this in half again. And this line's going to give you the top of the bony eye socket. I'll show you. And then you just draw a line down from these 2 points. Okay. That's just going to give you that top of that bony ridge over your eye socket. Okay, and then do the same thing to the other side. Take about a quarter of that half of the skull. Then draw a line down. And that's going to be your, actually that's your frontal bone. There's like a ridge of bone that sort of acts like almost like a goggles that goes around your eye sockets. And this is what part of that is the frontal bone. And then over here, what I'm doing is you just put some, if you translate the vertical line of that brow ridge to both sides, you can draw a curved line up from that, and that's going to indicate where your temporal bone is going to lie. That just kind of curves upward along the side of the skull. Okay, and then the inside lower edge of this eye socket is just going to be the side of that nasal bone. You can just come down a little bit. Okay, now we have to work on this angle to finish up the eye here. Okay. And just to get this angle, you just use the same dot that you used to create that angle you just made for the frontal bone. Just connect that inside lower eye socket to that point you used for that line you just made then. See? Okay, and then we've got one more line on the outside of the eye to finish up with. And that's easy. That's just the upper half of the skull. You draw a line from that upper half of the skull down to the center of the chin. or the center of the bottom of the chin, I should say. And that's going to indicate where your the outer edge of your eye socket lies. Okay, now I'm going to work on the cheekbone. Okay, and to make that cheekbone, you just use that same line that you drew down from the when you were making the frontal bone, and just make it come a little bit inside the maximum outer edge of that upper skull. Just make it come a little bit. Don't go all the way down to that point that you have, but just come a little bit inside. And this curve is actually trying to get to the bottom of the teeth here. So you can just draw a line down from that point, and that's going to give you your cheekbone. Okay, we're almost done here. Okay, so we've got to finish it off by creating the angle that comes up from the bottom and intersects this cheekbone line that we just drew. And in order to get this angle, what you do is take that halfway division that you made on the lower part of the skull, divide down, and then divide up. So divide down, and then divide up. Okay? And then yeah, so divide down, then divide down, and then divide up, and then just from this point here, just connect it to that point right below the nasal bone. That's going to be the very center of your skull that when you initially created the skull. Okay. Now from this line, just draw a line up, and that's going to intersect with the cheekbone. And that's going to give you the point of your cheekbone. Okay, and then where do you make that come down? Well, you want to divide the space up about halfway, come in a little bit inside, and then you could draw a line down from that point, and that'll give you your maxilla. That's your upper jaw. I'm just roughing in some teeth here. So this line it's a little bit towards the inside. It's a little bit medial to the inside of the center of the eye socket. Okay. And then lastly, we've got to draw that outside jaw line coming down. And what you do for this is you just, where that point of that cheekbone is, let me just clean this up. Okay. Okay, remember these teeth are curved a little bit. Just going to shade this in a little bit so you can see what's going on here. Okay, so for this, what you do is for this jaw, this lower jaw, what you do is, instead of, you don't come down from the point here, you kind of come down from the inside of this point a little bit. Alright, and then this line is trying to reach the point of the center point of the lower chin, so you can just draw that down as so. Okay, I'm gonna roughen these lower teeth. Yeah, and so all these formulas that I'm showing you are basically gonna become, part of your toolkit when you're drawing the human body. And you're not going to have to draw all these construction lines all the time. In fact, a lot of these formulas are going to become almost unconscious when you're drawing. But it's helpful when you start out to use some of these or to show some of these lines, and that'll help you learn the proportions and how the structure of the skull is laid out. I'm just cleaning this up a little bit so you guys can see it a little bit more clearly here. But that's about it. It's a pretty it's a pretty easy process if you just follow these formulas. You really can't go wrong. It's a systematic approach at this point, but once you start mastering some of these formulas, you can really begin to express your own unique style and become intimate with these formulas and express yourself in whatever way you want to express yourself. And you can use more of an intuitive approach to drawing as opposed to a systematic schematic approach. But this is definitely going to help you get started. And I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and there will be a lot more tutorials coming out in the future, and feel free to stop by Fantasy Art Workshop and you can see the latest videos there. I'm just going to clean this up a little bit more before I take off so you guys can see the final product. Okay, and there we have it.